So, Nino, what is good news and bad news in terms of people's perception?
Right. Okay. That's a great question. Um, so I'm just going to bring up a bit of a parable, an ancient parable around this topic, which is basically a parable about a farmer who, he has a horse. This farmer has a horse. And then one night, the horse runs away. And the next day, he finds that the horse is gone. And the neighboring farmers come up to him and say, your horse is gone. That's bad news. And the farmer says, well, I'm not sure if it's good news or bad news. And then the next day, he goes to the paddock and sees that the horse has come back and he's brought another horse with him. And the neighboring farmers come back and say, well, your horse ran off and we thought he was lost, but he came back with another horse. So that's good news. And then the farmer says, well, I'm not sure if it's good news or bad news, right? So, well, I'll just leave that story there and then just kind of connect the dots with my own personal story. 3 years ago, or however many years ago, COVID hit our shores. I was, knee deep in events, working corporate events, and I knew that something bad was coming and that my business was going to be hit hard. And that's exactly what happened. I lost multiple thousands of dollars in events, and I was devastated. And then, and shortly thereafter, I kind of felt this sort of relief and quiet, and it felt like the noise was gone. And then I began to just kind of really do some soul searching. I don't want it to sound like, corny, but I'd started doing some soul searching because there was all of a sudden there was no noise. It seemed like there was less noise, and frankly, even early on in COVID days, when you walked outside, there was no traffic, right? So there was literally less noise. But also in my mind, figuratively, there was less noise. And then I just began to really honestly soul search and then want to be of service. And I contacted my friends and colleagues and just genuinely wanted to help in any way, not looking for any kind of reciprocity. I just wanted to reach out and help. And I began writing more. I began to have more of a presence in my social media. I began to, express myself via writing and articles, and then wanting to help people with their copy, and then dig deeper into design, which I'd had in the past. But then I began to really soak into the elements of this graphic design and UI and UX and all these things. And then my personal life took an upswing, and I met the woman of my dreams, and so that happened as well. And then I rebranded my company, and all these things began to happen. And then now we circle back to the whole idea of what is good news and what is bad news, with that old parable that I started off with. And yes, COVID was devastating to a lot of people. A lot of people were irreparably damaged. But in my little microcosm, was it good news or bad news? I think it was good news, because a lot of good things happen. So I guess that the takeaway message that I want to share is, you just never know what is good news and what is bad news until you let time play out and see where that goes, right? And I just want people to understand that and have that awareness.